What is up, guys? Welcome to a brand new video. So when I posted my escape every elo video, obviously there wasn't like anything about challenger or master because I'm not there anymore, right? I'm just high diamond. A lot of people in the comments asked what the biggest differences were between like diamond and master and challenger, so I asked a bunch of master and challenger players to bring you this video. I've made this specifically so you don't have to be those ranks obviously to use this, but yeah, if you enjoy it, leave it a like, dislike it if you don't, let me know what you think of these in the comments. Now this isn't really going to go over like mechanics or general knowledge stuff because yes, like we all know challenger players can attack move better than silver ones, right? There's no point me saying that. These are two things that aren't thought about as much. So the first thing they do massively better is a really like a whole different way of playing League, or like kind of actually like a way of changing how you see the game, maybe. That's a better way of putting it. I'm going to use Hearthstone as an example to explain this first because it's more obvious with that game, but this will show you what I mean. Professional Hearthstone players don't just play turn by turn. They don't think, okay, I have 3 mana this turn, what do I do? What do I do with that 3 mana? They're going to think, okay, if I play this now, then what am I going to play turn 4, turn 5, turn 6? What is left in my deck that I could draw into? What is my opponent going to try and do next turn, the turn after that? This was one of the biggest things that I had to adjust to when I played Hearthstone. I played it casually for a while, like around rank 5. Then I started doing this and realized there's like a whole nother level of the game. We've gone from thinking about like just what you want to do to you now, like you in the future, your opponent 2 minutes ahead in the game. This is how I think it actually is in League. This is the first thing. Master and challenger players will think ahead in the game, not just react to things. They'll think like minutes ahead, they have a good guess of what is going to happen, and they adjust their play, but also predict their opponent's play. Some of this will come down to experience, but a lot of this you can do, like you just don't think about it. Like you're not trying to think of these things so it doesn't factor into your game. This is why I wanted to talk about it properly. It's a mindset thing. It's a whole different way of looking at the game, and the best way I can sum this up is they don't just see what is happening in the game right now, they see what is going to happen in the game. This can be so many different things, and I think it's kind of a broad subject, so I'm going to give you some specific examples. Firstly, they don't just react, they think about what is going to happen next. This is one of the hardest things to do, I think. It's changing how you react to plays, basically. I'm going to use a friend of mine, Azo, as an example. He's a master tier mid laner. So I was watching his stream and an Echo suddenly went for a trade under his tower, basically out of nowhere. Now, most players here would have thought, okay, this guy's diving me. That's pretty weird, like, and try to survive or react to that part. Azo, though, immediately said, well, that was dumb, and he used his shadow on Zed forward to take a return trade and punish him. The point is, Azo's mindset was, okay, he's diving me, but what do I want to do next? How do I punish him for doing this? He wasn't even thinking about the dive that much. He was looking at what his next move was going to be and how that trade was actually going to go. This is really hard to train yourself to do, to look like ahead rather than just react to what is happening, but when you actually get it down, you'll get so many more kills and you'll play so much better. That is, by the way, the simple version of how that actually works in his head. Like, he's going to be thinking about cost efficiency of the trade. So is it worth my cooldown, worth my mana, my health? Can I get a kill? Am I just going to make him base? Am I going to get ganked right after this while I'm trying to push the wave and punish him, or during the trade? Like, I'll do a video looking at all of these small things eventually, but this is the basic version. The second way this is going to look like is predicting your opponent. So if like you think they're going to do this, then you will do something else. This can be on a scale of like super simple to advanced, used aggressively and defensively. So as a jungler, right, if you're covering a lane, thinking about whether or not the enemy laner can kill you, and you play differently, either far back or just farm if they can't. It can be where you like think somebody is going to roam, so you ward that side, or where you think the jungler should be, so you can ward to prevent the gank. It can be predicting a fight though. Like, I think LeBlanc is going to try and combo me here, so when she jumps in, I'll activate my ultimate as Kennen and surge back to our original point, so I guarantee a stun and maybe a kill. It can even be as simple as, if I was the enemy team right now, I'd go and try and do Baron if I show bot lane. So let's make sure that I'm on the top side of the map so I can prevent it. This is definitely the side I use the most in game when I'm talking about it. Like, people are predictable, and if you think about what they're actually most likely going to do, then you can kind of prepare for it and not be caught off guard. Another thing is the enemy jungler. So like, where would I gank if I was him? I guess it's another one that seems obvious, but like actually takes some time to learn. But knowing where he's going to be is likely going to be a lifesaver. You're really putting yourself in like his shoes here. I guess you're looking at your lanes and thinking, right, if I was this guy, where would I gank right now? Who is pushing and who is gankable? Another thing is using information to like inform and not just to react to. So it's another one that seems obvious, but people don't really use the information they have properly. Say you see like an enemy Master Yi on a warder mid lane, right? But bot lane still plays exactly the same as they were before. They think, okay, Master Yi is mid right now. A high elo player will actually think, okay, I saw him mid, now where do I think he's going to go? Could he come bot now? Could he go mid? Or is he going to go and farm his jungle? They're going to play a bit more defensively until they know he isn't there, or maybe the jungler is going to come down so they can't get him. That's what I'm trying to get across basically. It's looking ahead. What is going to happen next rather than just what is happening right now. The more advanced way of looking at this is actually thinking ahead for every single small detail. So like, I'm going to gank this lane so because I can do this afterwards, right? Like gank bot so like a new dragon or gank top so I can get him ahead and then leave him for the rest of the game. It can even be like basing, like I'm going to base and buy so I can do this. So you have more damage and you can use that early power you have with your champion. You can punish your opponent, or maybe you don't base because you're a late game champion and just want to farm anyway. Pushing and freezing so I can have something else happen later. Like normally you stay safer from ganks and you set up kills if you freeze. This is thinking about what you want to do in like 2 minutes time though. If I can push, I can get tower damage in 2 minutes, right? If I freeze, I can deny it and maybe get them to come close enough to fight them in 2 minutes. So that is the first thing. They think about what is going to happen, not just what is happening, and these examples should hopefully help you take it into your games and actually apply what I'm talking about. The next thing is they dive all of the time as soon as they get a chance to, and again, this is kind of mindset or looking at it differently to how we would. Diving is honestly probably the best way to snowball a game and push your advantage when you're ahead, or like actually punish people when they're behind. I'm not saying you should really like dive 24/7 or anything like that. They obviously pull off the dives better as well, but it's more like when to dive that actually makes the biggest difference here. The way I think you should kind of change your mindset and the way you should look at this is like a tower is just another enemy player. So if you want to dive top, for example, then it's really 2v2, like you and your jungler versus the enemy top laner in his tower. You would fight 2v2 in other places on the map, right? If you think you can win, so why not just fight 2v2 in dives if you think you can kill the guy quick enough? I do get it's a bit different, like you're not going to kill the tower or whatever, but I think that's the way you should look at this anyway, and it will enable you to do more ganks, I think, in this way, like more dives. Of course, diving is mostly used when you're ahead, and it's also something when your team has got to be on the same page as you, so you have to use your fingers for something useful this time and tell them what you want to do, so they actually follow you up. Diving is, of course, mostly used when you're ahead, and it's also something like you need to have your team on the same page as you, so you need to use your fingers for something useful and tell them what you want to do, so they actually follow up. A lot of people are going to stay under the tower after bad trades, just like farm it up under there, thinking that's safe, especially bot lane, to be honest, actually. Whenever I jungle personally, like I always look at lanes that are pushing to see if I can dive. Like you get them towers super easy this way, you can punish even harder when they're already probably behind from being pushed in. That's probably the more obvious version though, right? Like diving as a jungler when the enemy laner is low. I think that's something a lot of people like don't think about, but they can definitely do it. The less obvious ones are like the solo dives though, without the jungler. This requires a few more things to think about though. So like where is their jungler? Like you don't really want them to arrive mid-dive and screw you over, or if is like your jungler actually nearby in case something like that does go wrong. What summoners do they have as well? Flash defensive summoners can throw a spanner in the works in these things, especially bot lane, by the way. If the enemy support bases, it's quite easy to 2v1 and get a kill, and that's normally how you really screw people over. The third way is actually timing based, so normally with a big wave actually. If your team has a big wave pushing, this is the perfect time to dive. You can TP to do it down as a top laner, mid lane roam, jungler come down, whatever it is, this is the best time and the most effective. Like you'll get the most out of this dive. I guess the point I'm trying to make is you don't take your foot off the gas ever. Like if you're ahead and they're behind, diving is a way to put the enemy really far behind while putting your team even further ahead. Whenever I watch snowballing games from Challenger or Master, I always see people diving. Like if a top laner is behind and they step a bit too far forward, instantly the enemy top will go ham and try to kill them. They don't hesitate, they don't mess around, they know they have the damage and they just go for it. I guess partly that is experience, right? Like knowing if you have the damage or not, but a lot of people don't even think about dives. This is how they play aggressive and they punish mistakes even under towers, and that is how you really crush people. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I tried to give a bunch of examples so you can take these two things and apply them to your games, but thank you for watching, and for now, let's go to the robots.